If the American psycho's wearing a suit, ladies, get in the car with him. America, get in the car with him. I mean, again, this is total crime out in the open. And we told you in the Obama deception, that's why this film is evergreen. It's more important now than 20 months ago when I raced to release it. When the FBI showed up here trying to shut it down. When I was getting death threats every day before it came out. Because they know I know. And they know the films are measured and focused and slick compared to the show where I just let it all hang out. They're scared of them. It's been seen over 30 million times. They got a reason to be scared. 30 million times for free online. You bet they're scared. And again, because the film lays out the austerity. What would happen 2 years after in the U.S., how it would start in Ireland and Portugal and Greece. We name the countries with the economist we interview, Tarpling and others. Gerald Celente. George Humphrey, economist. We lay it all out in the film, how it's planned. How do we know? 2002, the IMF and World Bank documents get leaked. The BBC publishes them. I go into red alert mode for years warning you. Again, they've told us what they're going to do. So what you see happening in Ireland, as I've been telling you the last few months, is going to spread to Greece. It's going to spread to Portugal. Again, it's going to intensify. Spain, then France, then England, then Germany. Well, guess what? It's in the news today that Germany is in danger of total collapse. Of course, that's how this is designed. They hold you hostage. Give us more money, give us more power, give us your infrastructure, give us your highways, give us your waterways, give us your parkland, give us the 600-plus Greek islands. And then they publicly give islands worth billions apiece. There's hundreds of islands around Greece to the private bankers. They don't just give them to the banks. They give them to the heads of the banks. Oh, this head banker's owed $3 billion by Greece. He's now being given this island. And it's some giant island with lavish government buildings all over it. I mean, now we openly we're so conquered by these crooks that the islands are given to them. I read the legislative reports out of Congress and out of Kentucky when they did investigations in the mid-90s about how the UN openly was taking over parkland and buffer zones, not just in the U.S., but in every major nation as collateral on the global debt. Why do you think the Chinese have been given almost all the major ports along with the Arabs and the infrastructure and the roads and the oil fields in Texas? I was talking to Mike Hansen down in Gonzales County, down there where he lives now. He just said there's Chinese everywhere and just huge drilling rigs. They just own everything. I mean, it's a complete joke. It was in the Houston Chronicle. Just one lease they did was 600,000 acres a few weeks ago. Because they got all our money. Because we were set up by the globalists. The globalists in the 70s made the decision to move their base of operations to China. Now we're being demonized with all the WikiLeaks information. America's being blamed for all the evils of the world. And yes, we've been the engine of it. We've been the evil, mind-controlled robot carrying it out. But the globalists are offshore. See how they've set all this up? Exactly as we've laid out. And so we told you this is now coming to the United States, and now that's in the Wall Street Journal today and the New York Times on Sunday. That is the U.S. next. And now the announcements are being made. First, they start laying off 20%, 40%, 60% in some counties, the sheriff's deputies. Then the police start announcing in Oakland and other cities, we won't respond to regular crime, home invasions, cars being stolen. Remember all those dozens and dozens? What was the headline? 30 crimes they won't respond to in Oakland. That was what the MSNBC headline, if I go from memory serves. Let's check my memory. Just like we just checked that head of the Irish banking system, the government minion. And I read the quote, and it was exactly as I said. Let's pull up crimes Oakland police won't respond to. That should pull it up. I mean, you're talking about muggings. You're talking about everything. But here's the deal. In many cities, they're not laying off cops. They're hiring more, but admitting. I saw a story out of Ohio where they said, oh, there'll be 3 sheriffs out of the 44 in the county. 3 sheriff's deputies, 1 per shift, will be for robberies or for car wrecks, and all the rest will be for revenue generation. That's what this is, just a hellish world with armed government bureaucrats there to do nothing but suck off of us and not help us. See, my mind, my memory fails these days, folks. I'm sorry, 44 situations that his officers will no longer respond to. See, I'm sorry. People always accuse me of exaggerating, and it's almost always the opposite. It's 44. The police chief gave a press conference. Go back up to the top. Was my memory right about that being MSNBC? I was right about that. Bingo. All right, at least I got that right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the issue here is this is austerity. This is the total takeover of society. And they're going to cut off everything because that's in the IMF World Bank leaked documents. That they want to make everything fall apart so lawlessness increases. Everything falls apart. Then they come in with even more control. Argentina, just 80 years ago, was more wealthy on average than the United States. It was the richest country in this hemisphere. As rich as an Argentine was the saying. Now Ted Anderson went down there last year on his honeymoon, and he said that it's not like American homeless who are generally mentally ill or drunks or drug addicts, but that it was good-looking families with children living in doorways everywhere. I mean, remember the Washington Post in 2001 described what the writers saw just 1 week into the collapse, engineered by the IMF and World Bank, that an 18-wheeler pulling a cattle tumped over. There was plenty of food, but nobody had money to buy it. And the 18, because they shut the banks down and took everybody's bank accounts. And the 18-wheeler tumped over, and people like zombies in business suits, you name it, dirty, with dirty faces, ran out and with knives were slicing blobs off the dead cattle, gobbling raw meat like hungry wolves. The jewel of South America, Argentina, turned into a cesspit of crime and murder and degradation in a matter of days. Never reemerging a decade later. That's what the bankers will do. You understand that? They will give you no quarter. They'll hang out in London and Switzerland and Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and they'll hang out in Tel Aviv, Israel, and they'll hang out in Tokyo, and they'll hang out in Beijing, they'll hang out in Paris, you know, living in their $50 million apartments and their $400 million palaces, laughing at you the entire time. They love it. They hate you. They're ruthless. They're Ponzi scam artists whose families have taken over this world through fraud. And now it's coming to the U.S., and they've got all these Republicans, like the governor of New Jersey, who they sell like he's the second coming of Christ because he's cutting infrastructure. He's cutting government pay. All of that would be fine if we were trying to get out from under these globalists. But that's, again, of the 1.5, and it's grown in the last year since we did the breakdown with multiple economists. Even, again, the Washington Post admits 600-plus trillion, but it's more like 1.5 quadrillion. Impossible black hole, hundreds and hundreds of times all the real assets in the world, impossible to pay back, designed to be a black hole you can't get out of, that I can't get out of. They know exactly what they're doing. And so they're announcing they're going to cut the veterans' pensions. They're going to cut the veterans' health care. This is all mainstream news today. They are going to cut and freeze. First they're going to freeze, then cut federal workers. Now, even though federal workers, a lot of them are lazy, pig-like, Obama doubled the amount in the last year and a half that are paid over $150,000. Even though it's bloated and out of control, at least those people get the paycheck and put their kids in school, go to the mall, buy cars, pay the lawn guy. That's some money that hits the economy, not these offshore bankers that get the trillions. So they're going to focus in on a small piece of the puzzle. Oh, it's a big piece on budget, but not on the comprehensive annual financial reports, state, federal, local. Not the commitments that have been made, not the 1.5 quadrillion. They're going to talk about a few trillion over here, 14 trillion or whatever, that's currently owed. Most of that to the bankers as well, not just the leveraged 1,500 plus trill. See, they're talking about 14 trill. Folks, it's 1.5, it's 1,500 trillion. Comprende?